Hello and welcome to another series of videos looking at what is left of the old railways of Norfolk. In these videos I'm going to explore the old Norfolk and Suffolk Joint Committee line from North Walsham to Cromer Beach via Munsley. This line ran through Paston and Napton, or Paston and Napton as I've been told, Munsley on Sea, Trimmingham, Side Strand Halt, Overstrand, Golf Links Halt to Cromer Beach. The history of Norfolk's railways is fiendishly complicated, so I'll make this as simple as possible. The Great Northern Railway and the London Midland joined together to form the Midland and Great Northern Joint Railway, partly in order to take on the Great Eastern Railway, which had a virtual monopoly in the region. The Midland and Great Northern Joint Railway also eventually joined the Great Eastern Railway to form the Norfolk and Suffolk Joint Committee lines, one of which was Yarmouth to Lowestoft, and the other is the line that we shall look at now. To do this, we shall start at North Walsham. By October 1874, the East Norfolk Railway, later to become part of the Great Eastern Railway, had reached North Walsham from Norwich. Nearly 2 years later, in July 1876, that line had been extended to Gunton. Then in March 1877 it was extended up to Cromer. Back now to North Walsham, and in June 1881 the Yarmouth and North Norfolk Railway, later to become part of the Midland and Great Northern Railway, arrived from Yarmouth Beach. Then in April 1883 the Eastern and Midland line from Melton Constable also reached North Walsham. In 1887 the Midland and Great Northern line from Holt to Cromer Beach was completed. Forward now to July 1898, and 3 lines now joined at Antingham Road Junction just outside the town. The Great Eastern line was extended from North Walsham Station. The Midland and Great Northern line was extended from the junction with the Melton Constable line, and the Norfolk and Suffolk Joint line from Munsley to Antingham Road was completed. Again, sorry about the picture quality. The camera doesn't seem to like this whiteboard at times, but it does get better. Now to complete the scene we move on to July 1906. A line was finished from Cromer Junction to Rowton Road Junction and onto the Holt line at Runton West Junction. At the same time a cord was built between Newstead Lane Junction and Runton East Junction, giving the Great Eastern Railway direct access to Cromer Beach. Then, in August 1906, the line from Munsley to Rawton Road Junction via Overstrand was completed. This now completed the line from North Walsham through Antingham Road Junction, Paston and Napton, Munsley on Sea, Overstrand, under the Great Eastern Railway line into Cromer High to Rawton Road Junction, and then round into Cromer Beach. After a few years, the line between Newstead Lane Junction and Runton West Junction was removed. This meant that all trains now from the Munsley and Cromer Junction lines had to go into Cromer Beach in order to access the line to Holt. Today, this is what remains, just the Greater Anglia line from Norwich via North Walsham, Gunton, Rawton Road and round into Cromer. From there, back out again and onto the original Midland and Great Northern Railway alignment to Sheringham, where you can join a North Norfolk Railway Preserve train and travel to Holt, again on the old Midland and Great Northern Railway alignment. So let's go and see what we can find roughly 56 years after closure. So here we are again, back on the old alignment of the Midland and Great Northern Joint Railway line from Yarmouth Beach to North Walsham. This is now the A149 and we're approaching the site of North Walsham Town Station. The station here was just on the right hand side. It was on a high embankment, and as we pass through the station, the line crosses over the Norwich Road where these traffic lights are, and then immediately after, the line to Melton Constable diverges down to the left hand side. The Great Eastern Railway line from Norwich is also just to the left of us, and at the next set of traffic lights, this marks the site of Antingham Road Junction, where the line from the Great Eastern Railway line joins in on the left hand side, just about as we approach these traffic lights. And this gave the Great Eastern Railway line access to the Munsley line. Now, after we leave these traffic lights, we are now on the B1145, the main road to Munsley. Now, between North Walsham and Munsley, beneath the old track bed, is buried a pipeline from Bacton Gas Terminal to the loading terminal at North Walsham, where railway tank wagons are loaded with gas condensate from the North Sea gas fields. And they run even today from those from the loading terminal at North Walsham. Now, there is only one overbridge on this line, or on this road that was once a railway line, and that's the road called Lingate Road that used to cross over here at this point via an overbridge. And now we are now approaching the point where the railway carries on to the right in a straight line and the road curves to the left hand side. So this is where this new part of the bypass ends, and we will now go over to the other end of the old road and carry on along the old track bed in the direction of that arrow. So we are now on the end of the old part of the Munsley Road, which has been replaced by the bypass that we have just been on. This is where the road crossed the railway by this bridge, number 361. And this is looking towards North Walsham from the bridge. You can see the bypass in the background there, some traffic moving along, which we have just been on. And this is looking towards Munsley from the bridge, and that's the old track bed that we shall go down to now. Now, having climbed down those steps, we are down on the track bed looking back towards North Walsham and the bridge number 361 that we have just been on. This is of the elliptical masonry type that we've seen in other videos of other lines. And now we will turn round and head off down the track bed towards Munsley. So just after the bridge we find this concrete triangular shaped milepost showing us that we are 1 mile and 1/4 from North Walsham, and these mileposts continue for 13.5 miles from North Walsham to Runton West Junction. Bit further along now, and the path has been diverted down onto the roadway because the walkway of the next bridge has been removed. This is bridge number 360 over Little London Road. It was a plate girder type bridge, but all that's left now are the brick abutments, as you can see here. But this was over Little London Road. Further along the path now, and we come to the next bridge. This is number 359. It's a semicircular masonry arched bridge over a small stream, as you can see here, and you can see the arch quite clearly. A bit further along now, and we are approaching the bridge, or what's left of the bridge, over the North Walsham and Dilham Canal, which ran from North Walsham to Wayford Bridge near Stalham. We're on the railway looking towards Wayford Bridge. I should be doing a video in the future on this canal because it's quite interesting what's left of it. This bridge over the canal, there's only the abutments. There's nothing left of the old track bed. And this is where you can see here that just the abutments. There's some sort of metal walkway, but that has been closed off. And that's a view of the other abutment on the Munsley side of the canal. And this next shot is taken from the road at Swaffield, looking towards the bridge. And you can see the embankment of the railway on either side. North Walsham is to the right hand side. Okay, we're back up on the railway the other side of the canal now, and we're looking back towards North Walsham at this strange walkway that has been put up on the old abutments, but for some reason now you can't use it. Whether it's become unsafe or not, I don't know. But anyway, we'll turn round again and carry on along the path. And in this shot, we're just looking towards Munsley, just after the canal. You can see how straight the line is. And there's a bridge in the distance there, and there's another one. And this first one we come to is number 357. It's a semicircular masonry, and you can see the arch there. And as we move along, we come to this set of steps down the side of the embankment. We're still on quite a high embankment here. Now these steps lead down to a place called Pigney's Wood, which is a lovely area amongst the trees for walking. In fact, there's lots of lovely walks around all this area near the railway line. And now, as we move along the path, the next item of interest that we come to is underbridge number 356, which was a trough girder, but the girders and old track bed have been replaced by this wooden footbridge. So nice of the locals to decorate it for us though. And here we've come across a lucky find. This is an old brick built permanent way hut. They were brick built up to 1915, and then they were made of blocks. And here's a look inside. Inside there would have been bench lockers lining both walls, and also a small fireplace for the comfort of the men that had to walk the length or up and down the line, checking everything was as it should be. And yeah, here the foxes had a meal last night, and spring is on its way. And this is our next bridge. This is an overbridge, number 355, an elliptical masonry type, and that's the road that goes over the top. Now we are now in Knapton cutting, and as you can see, it's quite a steep or deep cutting. Well, from North Walsham to the next station, the line drops at about 1 in 80, and as we know, we've been on quite high embankments, and now we're in quite a deep cutting. Just before the end of this section that we can walk on, I noticed this brick rubble along the side. I'd no idea if there was another building here of some description, and bits of concrete as well. I don't know what that's all from. And we are now approaching the end of this part of the track bed that we can walk on. Ahead now are steps up to a car park, and if we go up these steps, you can see the car park is actually, I imagine that the track bed would have still have been in a cutting, but it's obviously been filled in because there is now a car park on top, and across the road the railway would have continued. And if we go just drop down the road a few yards, that is the other side of the road, and that's roughly the alignment of the railway, which I obviously would have still have been in a cutting, so this has all been filled in. Now just to the right of that property, just across the road from the car park, there's a footpath, and that goes down the side there between the field and the property which has been built over on the alignment. And the next station is, I don't know, quarter of a mile or so, half a mile past the end of that fence that you see there at the edge of the field. Now if we look at an aerial shot, you can see that's where we've just been. That's the spot I've just pointed out on the last shot. That's the station, and that's the end of the alignment that you can visibly see. And in between those 2 points, as you can see, it's completely covered by the fields. So this is the next station of Paston and Napton, or pronounced Paston and Napton, as I've been told. It served the 2 small settlements of the same names. It was built by Cornish and Gamer, who were actually church restorers, originally in red brick with tiled roofs and half-timbered gables. It was a single platform station, but had a surprisingly large station building considering the size of the population it served. There was a small yard just in front to the right of this picture. The station as you see it now has been spoiled by unsympathetic alterations, including slate roofing. It was closed on the 17th of May 1965. It is now a private property. Well, I think that's enough for part 1. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in part 2, when we'll carry on towards Cromer.